In 1947, as the British prepared to leave the subcontinent, the new Indian government faced a massive geographic crisis. With independence came the immediate, terrifying threat that the entire landmass would violently shatter into hundreds of disconnected fragments. Colonial India was actually divided into two separate entities. There were the provinces, directly ruled by the British, and there were 562 autonomous princely states, governed by hereditary monarchs who maintained individual treaties with the British Crown. These treaties operated under a system called paramountcy. The British managed the state's foreign affairs and defense, but once they withdrew, that system would lapse. Legally, the moment the colonial administration left, all 562 states would become fully independent nations. For the new Indian government, this posed a logistical nightmare. The Prince of States were scattered everywhere. Some were the size of major European countries. Others were smaller than a single village. If they remained independent, India would be pockmarked by hundreds of foreign borders, cutting off trade routes, railways, and communication lines. Building a functional country meant negotiating with hundreds of kings, nawabs, and maharajas to voluntarily surrender their sovereignty before the clock ran out. The task of managing this consolidation fell to the Ministry of States, led by Vallabhbhai Patel. Working with his deputy, VP Menon, Patel developed a diplomatic strategy to secure the borders against a rapidly ticking clock. They enlisted the last British viceroy, Lord Mountbatten, to strip away the prince's illusions. Mountbatten explicitly told the rulers that the British Crown would no longer provide military protection or recognize them as independent allies. To survive the transition, they had to align with either India or Pakistan. Patel and Menon offered a specific legal compromise, the Instrument of Accession. Rulers only had to surrender 3 powers to the central government: defense, external affairs, and communications. In exchange, they were promised full autonomy over their internal laws and territories. To close the deal, the Indian government added a financial incentive called the Privy Purse. Princes who signed the accession would receive a guaranteed tax-free annual pension, allowing them to maintain their wealth and their status. Facing the loss of British protection and the guarantee of continued personal wealth, the vast majority of the rulers signed the documents. By the time independence was declared on August 15, 1947, Patel had integrated over 500 states into the Indian Union without firing a shot. However, 3 specific holdouts refused to sign. Because of their size and location, these rogue states threatened the geographic heart and the strategic flanks of the new republic. On the western coast, the state of Junagadh presented the first crisis. Its Muslim ruler decided to join Pakistan, even though 80% of his population was Hindu, and his state had no connecting land border with the Pakistani mainland. India responded with an aggressive economic blockade, cutting off fuel, coal, and postal links while mobilizing troops to the border. Faced with internal collapse, the ruler fled to Pakistan, and a subsequent public vote resulted in an almost unanimous decision to join India. Far to the north, the state of Jammu and Kashmir posed an even larger problem. The monarch, Maharaja Hari Singh, hesitated to choose a side until armed tribesmen from Pakistan crossed the border and advanced toward his capital. Facing an imminent siege, Hari Singh appealed to India for military aid. The government required him to sign the Instrument of Accession first. Once he complied, India launched an immediate airlift, dropping troops and equipment into the valley to repel the invaders. The largest holdout sat in the very center of India, Hyderabad. Its ruler, Nizam Osman Ali Khan, controlled a territory larger than England and demanded total independence from both India and Pakistan. As a radical militia began attacking the Hindu populace and communist rebellions broke out, India abandoned diplomacy. In a 1948 military campaign called Operation Polo, Indian troops entered Hyderabad and assumed complete control of the state within 5 days. While the carrot of diplomacy secured the majority of the map, the stick of military force was required to lock down the new nation's strategic heartland. By 1950, the external borders were fixed, but the job was unfinished. Because the princes had only surrendered 3 powers, they still controlled their local administrations, leaving India as a patchwork of different legal systems. To create a functional nation, Patel and Menon began a second phase of integration. They required rulers to sign merger agreements, allowing the government to dissolve hundreds of tiny, unviable states and combine them into larger regional blocks called princely unions. In the democratization phase, the government reduced the former absolute rulers to constitutional monarchs. Their executive governing power was handed over to democratic administrations that were identical to those in the rest of the country. The government then pushed for total legal uniformity. They had the princely unions officially adopt the new Constitution of India, replacing the old limited accessions with a single legal framework that placed the entire country under the same central authority. This series of bureaucratic maneuvers stripped away the last remnants of royal power, replacing a web of individual treaties with a single uniform national law. The final conclusion to the integration era arrived in 1956 with the States Reorganization Act. This act wiped away the old princely borders entirely. The internal map was redrawn to create the modern states we recognize today, organized primarily around shared language rather than ancient royal territories. In less than a decade, the Indian government combined diplomatic pressure, bureaucratic engineering, and targeted military action to dissolve over 500 hereditary monarchies, establishing the geographic footprint of the world's largest democracy.